According to Brian Herbert, the capacity to learn is a gift, the ability to learn is a skill, and the willingness to learn is a choice. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Mr. Joshua Philip E. Vasquez, BA3A. I am one of the Group 7 discussants for today's discussion. But before that, let me read to you the learning objectives. In this lesson, you will be able to, number 1, identify various instructional planning models used in teaching English. For number 2, compare instructional planning models identified. And the last one, adopt a model in designing one's own instructional plan. So, let's start with ADDIE model. The ADDIE model is one of the popular models because of its simplicity and practicality. Meaning to say, it is easier for teacher to make this model because it is simpler than others. And also, it composed of practicality. Meaning to say, the students and the teacher will use their critical thinking upon making the task. The model is traditional use, not just in classroom, but also in training programs and analyzing existing curricula. So this model is very traditional to use by the teacher, not just in classroom, but in training programs. What are those training programs? For example, orientation training, onboarding training, compliance training, leadership training, technical training, and other forms of training programs. We use ADDIE model. Each of the steps in the model provides an outcome that will be used in the next. So this model, it provides an outcome after accomplishing the task with the guidance of the teacher. And this model is composed of the following elements. So let's explore. So number 1, we have analysis. Analysis step is where the instructional goals and objectives are established. This is a time where the teachers analyze the goals and objectives in starting the lesson. The learning environment is also determined, and the learner's existing skills and knowledge are identified. So in analysis, the teacher will make sure that the learning environment for children is safe and convenient, and the different skills of the student must be determined by the teacher before she or he makes a lesson. And the teachers analyzes the context of the learning environment in order to identify these factors. So some of questions that need to be answered in this phase are: so here are the different questions that are being applied in analysis. Number 1, who are the learners and what are their characteristics? So it is important for a teacher to use this question. By knowing your learners, so you can deliver directly what they need. By having a deeper understanding of them, you can approach them like a friend and guide them like a mentor to make them change their behavior and abilities, and have also the conversations with them frequently. Understanding your students' interests will help you to provide them with quality learning opportunities by giving them the opportunity to explore areas they are interested in, or for example, the environment. They will be more likely to engage with the learning process. And for number 2, what learning outcomes are expected? So these questions must be also applied by the teacher, because learning outcomes help teachers and students come to a common understanding about the purpose and goals of a course or academic program. By providing clear and comprehensive learning outcomes, teachers begin to provide a transparent pathway for student success. And a learning outcome describes the overall purpose for or goal from participation in educational activity. That's why these questions must be applied, as is when the core subject is being planned with a measurable learning outcome in mind would be more effective your strategy. Next, number 3 is, what are the constraints that exist? So the constraints of learning that are considered are motivational or associative factors, peculiar to certain stimuli responses, or reinforces or arising out the relationship of any of the two or even three of them. And also the constraint is the student's ability to learn new tasks that are imposed by physical restraints or cognitive mentally abilities of the students. Next question is, what materials are available? So these questions also, it is vital for teachers to think critically. It's because instructional materials are essential tools in learning every subject in the school curriculum. They allow the students to interact with words, symbols, other is ideas, in ways that develop their abilities in reading, listening, solving, viewing, thinking, speaking, writing, using media and technology. That is the materials available in the classroom. And number five is how much time is available. So when you are clear on the best use of your time as a teacher, you become more focused and productive. Good time management helps you achieve bigger goals, reduces procrastination, and increases productivity. That's why teachers need to take measures to properly manage time for an effective classroom environment. By working through teacher time management strategies, it is possible to keep with the educational needs for every student, manage urgent situations, and immediately and avoid falling behind with unexpected events occur. That are the questions related to analysis. So and now let us proceed to the next element of the ADDIE model, which is the design phase. So according to its description, the design phase deals with creating an outline of the instruction. So this is the time where a teacher must use his or her ideas upon making the outline first. That's it. This is where the learning objective, learning content, strategies to be used, activities, materials, assessment, and other media needed are put in place. So this is the phase where learning objectives, assessment, instruments, exercises, content, subject matter analysis, lesson planning, and media selection, everything, they are put in place together in terms of design phase. So that's it. And the design is a logical and sequential. When you say logical, it is a step-by-step process in making a lesson. And sequential, there are different or there are respective consequences when a teacher makes something on his or her lesson. It should consider how the lesson will be delivered to the learners. So of course, the teacher must be broad-minded upon making the lesson and on how he or she delivers it to the learners. And that's it for the design phase.
Development. The development phase is where activities, materials, media, and other content necessary to deliver the instruction based on the design phase are put together. Here are the teachers need to take into consideration the methods of delivery determined by the design phase. So the step 3 is development. So at this stage, you can begin to create the courses. So you will be heavily guided by the prototype or the storyboard at this point. So each element of the course should be developed to match the design phase. So the core of the content has already been decided. All you need to add is a level of detail and polish to the courses. This is done by adding like graphics, choosing colors, deciding on fonts. So to some, this may seem trivial, but it has a huge bearing on how engaging the course content is. So the careful selection of these elements allows you to present the course in the manner that will appeal to the audience, which may become apparent when the analysis of the audience in the first phase. Another thing is once you have created a course, you should test it to ensure that there are no basic errors such as grammars, spelling, syntax, and etc. So testing should also look at the mechanics of the course. So a key consideration at this stage is the navigation. So the vast majority of problems that learners encounters are related to how the course was built in the authoring tool. So the frustrating thing is that it can often be something very simple that the instructional designer misses because they did not test the course. Implementation. During the implementation phase, the instruction is given the learners and teacher should take some time to observe how the learners react to the instruction provided to them. Furthermore, the teacher would also need ensure that all equipments and materials necessary to deliver the lesson are all complete and working like computers, storage devices, internet connections, or the number of copies of materials. Next is the implementation. So, once you have completed your courses and you are satisfied that they are fully tested, so it's time to put it into action. So it's time to share them with the learners. So the decisions made in the design phase will influence how this is actually carried out. It is also very important to check especially the instructional designers, that they should monitor the situation for any teething issues. So one of the best way to prevent against any problem in the implementation phase is to conduct a pilot of a course before unleashing the content. Evaluation. In the evaluation phase, the teachers look into the learners' score result and the notes that were taken during the implementation phase. The teacher can then analyze this result and make appropriate adjustments in the next session. Next is evaluation. So the ADI's main goal is to provide a structured method of creating training programs. It is also a powerful model for improving the way in which future iterations are created. So getting feedback on every aspect of the courses is really important so that you can improve and revise the content. So what to focus on? So did we meet the goals set out in the analysis phase? So take feedback and place back into the analysis phase. Identify other training requirements and possible change in media approach.
Kemp design model. Kemp design model are also known as Morrison, Rose, and Kemp model. So Kemp model is circular. So when viewed as the interdependent component, the 9 fundamental elements produce the phenomenon known as circularity. So the circular approach that the Kemp model takes directs the designer to take into consideration the learner's goals, needs, priorities, and the constraints. And the 9 essential elements of Kemp instructional model are extremely specific and structured. That is because they focus on the learners as a whole when they developing their products. This design process are made to be more dynamic and fluid, and thanks to the 9 interconnected elements are made up by Kemp instructional model. So now here are the 9 elements of Kemp design model. So first is the instructional problem. It determines the specific goals and identify the instructional issues that could arise. So in the first step, learning outcomes are defined. So it includes what the students needs to learn or acquire in which broad concept or new knowledges or some specific course content. Number 2, learner characteristics. So it identifies the traits and characteristics of learners that should be taken into consideration in the planning process. So in the second phase, it focuses on student learning styles, needs, and cognitive load-related topics, tasks, and procedures. Number 3, task analysis. So make course content clear and analyze the proposed task components in relation to the goals. So the third element is similar to Dick and Carrie's third stage and the analysis stage in ADDIE. So it is important because it helps the designer think about the course content in relation to the other learner. Number 4, instructional objectives. So it define the instructional objectives and the desired learning outcomes. So the fourth phase, content and task analysis focuses on the whole learner and determines how will they understand new materials. And also Bloom's taxonomy helps determine how a learner processes a new information. Number 5, content sequencing. So it ensures the instructional content are structured sequentially and logically. So in element 5, it determining the learner objectives. So it is similar to the first stage of the Dick and Carey model, which examines the ILOS. So the designers analyzes the course's broad learning objectives and translates them into more specific goals.
Okay, the next one we have here is instructional strategies. Design the instructional in such a way that individual learners would be able to learn the content and attain the learning outcomes. So I mean to say, it encompasses any type of learning technique that a teacher uses to help the students to gain and learn a better understanding of the course material. And also they allow teachers to make the learning experience more fun and practical, and then can also encourage learners to take more of an active role of the education. Next, we have also here designing the message. It plans the instructional message and the appropriate mode of delivery. So designing the message can draw attention to your message, make it easier to understand, and add more the feeling and personality, and make your message more relatable and to your audience. Not to mention, it helps creates consistency in your brand messaging. Next, we have here the instructional delivery. I developed the necessary instruments in order to effectively achieve the instructional goals and objectives, taking into consideration the materials available of the teacher. So, on easy term, it is practices that a teacher must effectively instructing students to maximize knowledge and skill acquisition. So, to ensure that educators have skills and knowledge, it is necessary to provide students with effective instructions. And the central objective of the instructional delivery standard is determining a teacher's proficiency and effective delivery for content knowledge. So for the last one, evaluation instruments. Design and development of the appropriate formative and summative assessment to determine whether the instructional goals and objectives were attained. So, assessment tools help instructors evaluate the students' knowledge and make informed decisions that improve their learning experience. And assessment tools help participants measure their progress towards a specific outcomes, just like here, and they modify their behavior to meet those goals. And also, this is a element of this model that provides a systematic methods of a study or a program, practice, intervention, or initiative to understand how will it achieve its goals. And this also determine what works well and what could be improved in this aspect. That's it.
Now we have the ARCS model. The ARCS model is developed by John Hiller in the 1980s. The model's unique feature is that it focuses more on the motivation of the learners, ensuring that they are kept engaged during instruction, rather than focusing on the steps to take in the development of the instructional plan. The ARCS model has 4 elements. First, we have the attention. Attention. Attention refers to the interest of the learners. This is a critical part of the model as it is the essential hook of the learner's attention. So students will show more attentiveness by actively participating in classroom discussion and activities. Second, we have relevance. Relevance, these components refers to the usefulness of the learning content so that the learners could create a connection between it and the real world. So students will recognize the relevance of the topic by understanding how the models of learning be applied to a realistic learning environment. So now we have the confidence. This component develops the expectation of the success and progress among the learners, and at the same time gives the learners the opportunity to control their learning processes. It helps the students to free gives their opinions because they have the self-confidence. It is more likely to attend, continue to build a strong sense of belongingness with peers and to their co-students also. Next, we have satisfaction. As there is a direct correlation between motivation and satisfaction, the learners should have a sense of success and fulfillment after achieving their learning goals and objectives during the learning processes. Students will appreciate the relevance of the topic and also by activating the goals and objectives that the teachers implement for the topic. So the purpose of those components, the four components of Keller's model, is to arouse students' curiosity and interest, relate to students' experiences and needs, scaffold student success of meaningful tasks, and lastly, to build students' sense of reward and achievement. Thank you.